And then what did you make of Sophie Cunningham's flagrant foul on JC towards the end?
It was a flagrant foul.
Do you think it's like defending Caitlyn or defending the team, or how do you view just how it all?
I view it as a flagrant foul.
I'll ask about the game too.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys came for basketball.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
talk
seriously.
about basketball.
Yeah.
Come on now.
What do you think of just how you all were able to pull away in the second half, Caitlyn, in
We're
particular?
going to the Commissioner Cup Championship.
Let's
That's
go!
pretty exciting. Y'all want to talk about that?
The WNBA doesn't deserve Caitlyn Clark. Let's be brutally honest. She's the most transcendent talent women's basketball has ever seen, single-handedly lifting the league from niche to mainstream. And how do they repay her? By letting refs look the other way while opponents beat on her like a punching bag, game after game, season after season.
All right, enough is enough. You know, at some point, the line gets crossed too often where something needs to be done and things need to be corrected. And that is certainly the case with the way things around Caitlyn Clark are officiated. This is a constant problem now. You know, it is something that since the beginning, I've kind of like backed off on because physical play is a part of sports. You know, going after a superstar and trying to rough them up a little bit to get in their head is a part of sports. But when it crosses the line, the referees need to do their jobs. They need to do their jobs, blow the whistle, and officiate.
So when Caitlyn finally snapped in that press conference, after Sophie Cunningham got ejected for doing what the refs wouldn't, actually protecting the league's biggest star, her words weren't just justified. They were long overdue.
Understand why this is all happening to Caitlyn Clark, who's brought so much attention to the league, frankly, revenue and viewership numbers. She single-handedly has made the broadcast rights go up, and I'm not saying she's the only one who did it. Yes, all of the women that came before her matter too, but the WNBA is doing better because Caitlyn Clark is in it now. It is one of the reasons they're doing better, and a rising tide lifts all boats. Everybody in the WNBA.
Here's what really happened that night against the Connecticut Sun, and why it sums up everything wrong with how the WNBA has handled Caitlyn Clark. Jace Sheldon poked Clark in the eye in the third quarter, and instead of stepping in to calm things down, the refs let Marina Mabrey blindside her and send her crashing to the floor. Their response? A couple of meaningless texts, then business as usual.
If somebody ever tackles you like that,
nobody would ever tackle me like that. They would play with Bridget like that, and then we would have to like take it up there.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
But I'm just saying.
Nobody would ever tell me like
if that ever happened, you better crash out behind me, because I'm crashing out behind you. We can share the same jail cell. Yeah, bro.
Oh my gosh, bro. Our team would cry, bro, because they would play with somebody that's like not even like.
But Sophie Cunningham wasn't having it. She saw her teammate get targeted, watched the refs do nothing, and decided enough was enough. With under a minute left, she wrapped up Sheldon on a fast break and took her to the ground. A clear message that if the WNBA won't protect Caitlyn Clark, her teammates will. For that, Cunningham was ejected.
She is one of the best teammates in the world. After the entire league has been after Caitlyn Clark for so long, and after tonight getting poked in the eye and body shoved by the Connecticut Sun, Sophie Cunningham had finally had enough and took it into her own hands.
Sheldon comes up with the steal.
The one player who finally stood up for the league's biggest star got tossed for doing what never should have been necessary in the first place. Are we serious right now? Let's talk about how absurd this is. Caitlyn Clark has transformed the WNBA, brought in millions of new fans, boosted TV ratings, and made the league more relevant than it's ever been in its 27-year history. And how does the WNBA repay this generational talent who's basically printing money for them?
The NBA is not a vertical league. Their players can't jump over each other to score like the NBA. It's a horizontal chippy league. And you didn't watch the NBA for the last 10 to 12 years. It has always been physical and always been chippy. You get into a lot of collisions because there's no Ja Morant here. There's no Ant Edwards. They don't jump over. It's a horizontal physical league. And Caitlyn Clark now is like kerosene to the physicality flame. So you have physicality in this league, and now you get this flashy player, and they don't know how to officiate her, they don't know how to defend her.
By letting veteran players rough her up with impunity. By letting refs swallow their whistles when she gets cheap-shotted. By creating an environment where Clark has taken 17% of all flagrant fouls in the league. A a stat so absurd it borders on criminal negligence by the officials. Who would have thought elevating an entire professional league would get you disrespected for it? Yet that's exactly what's happened to Clark since she entered the WNBA. She's breaking records, packing arenas that would otherwise be half empty, and getting repaid with a giant target on her back that the refs seem determined to ignore.
On with the chip, is there what explanation were you given for the tech that you got?
I'll take the official questions. There wasn't an explanation for the tech that she got. I think it was pretty obvious that stuff was brewing, right? When the officials don't get control of the ball game, when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game. It's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right? Out of fierce competition. So I started talking to the officials in the first quarter, and we knew this was going to happen. You could tell it was going to happen. So they got to get control of it. They got to be better.
If you're enjoying this, please subscribe. Finally, Caitlyn Clark has a teammate who won't just stand there and watch her get mauled. Sophie Cunningham, who came to Indiana from Phoenix in that 14-player trade, has quickly become Clark's unofficial bodyguard and official enforcer, and fans love her for it. Before that game against Connecticut, Cunningham had fewer than 400,000 TikTok followers. Days after standing up for Clark, she soared past 1.2 million. Her Instagram gained over 300,000 new followers, and her jersey sales went through the roof. Why? Because fans finally saw someone willing to protect Caitlyn Clark. This is what having a teammate's back actually looks like. Sophie saw the officials failing at the most basic part of their job, player safety, and decided to handle it herself.
Continues to be the WNBA's shining new star. She's Caitlyn Clark's sidekick at this point. Of course, Sophie Cunningham, man, what a meteoric rise. All it took was a little bit of rough justice on the court, sticking up for Caitlyn Clark after she was poked in the eye by J.C. Sheldon of the Connecticut Sun and then pushed to the ground by the Sun's Marina Mabry. Everybody got on board, and it was Sophie Cunningham mania happening around the country.
Let's be clear. WNBA refs have been awful at protecting Caitlyn Clark. It's so obvious even casual fans notice. Opponents know they can cheap shot her because the refs rarely step in. Look at the Connecticut Sun game. Sheldon pokes Clark in the eye, Mabry knocks her down, and the refs hand out a couple meaningless techs. Meanwhile, when Sophie Cunningham finally stands up for Clark, she gets ejected on the spot. The double standard is glaring. Clark gets techs for showing emotion after getting hammered, while players who actually commit flagrant fouls face almost nothing. It's like there are two rule books, one for Clark and one for everyone else.
Officiating in this league makes the NFL officials look good. That is crazy that entire sentence just rolled out of my mouth. Because the NFL officials are so bad that a lot of people think the game is rigged or scripted. By the way, I've seen that about the WNBA as of late too. Like, are the officials trying to navigate games in certain directions? We got to remember there's things like prop betting, and can we keep somebody? Hey, I put $2,000 over on Caitlyn Clark not being able to score 25 points tonight. The payoff on that.
When the media tried to focus on the ejections after the game, Caitlyn Clark had enough. She said, "You guys came for basketball. Let's talk about basketball. We're heading to the Commissioner's Cup Championship. That's pretty exciting." It summed up exactly how tired she is of the sideshow. She just put up 20 points, 6 assists, and 4 threes to send her team to the final, and all anyone wanted to discuss was the drama. She's changed the entire sport, yet can't even enjoy a post-game interview about basketball because every game turns into a debate on whether the league can keep her safe. Her frustration was obvious and completely deserved.
Well, that's about the game, too.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys came for basketball.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
talk
seriously.
about basketball.
Yeah.
Come on now.
What do you think of just how you all were able to pull in the second half, Caitlyn, in
We're
particular?
going to the Commissioner Cup Championship.
Let's
That's
go!
pretty exciting. Y'all want to talk about that? Let's talk about that.
To have people kind of go at her because she's a trash talker. Okay, if that is the logic. But the media are now saying Caitlyn Clark brings everything on herself. And by the way, Caitlyn Clark, if you want to say J.C. Sheldon getting in her face
and like everything until the eye gouge. Nobody brings eye gouges on themselves. This is the same as, oh, she brings it on herself with the push-off. Just call the hand check and the push-off doesn't happen. Like, do we not understand sport?